And we're back. I'm going to stop the recording here, Colin.
Got it.
So I'll be recording this for you, and you'll have copies of all of our sessions, and you're also going to get copies of all the notes that I take. But I always like to have the people that are, doing an Army of One training to take notes themselves. Not that you're going to keep the notes. If anything, it's just going to help get into your subconscious mind and help pack the memory bank, because I don't know about you, but as I'm getting older, it's just that much more challenging to fit more stuff in there.
Yeah, I totally get it. I'm probably interrupted by a few phone calls here and there.
Yeah.
So,
No worries. No worries. You need to take that right now before we get in?
One second.
Go.
Thanks for calling Pedego Santa Rosa. This is Colin.
Well, I would just probably spend it one or two to have a couple of days on the weekend, and I would do hand hikes, nice on the line drive,
Hey, Bob, are you there?
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about yourself, how you got connected with Colin. I mean, I've muted his phone, so how did you get connected with Pedego Santa Rosa?
And first, tell me your name.
Oh, I'm Joe. I apologize. I
Joe?
thought.
No, that's right. The screen doesn't say so. I know it's in an email, but I thought it was Joe, but I didn't want to say so.
No,
and I guess
no,
you're not
not.
seeing me. Yeah, you're not seeing me, right?
I'm not. You have to turn your video camera on. Are you using a mobile phone or a laptop?
Laptop.
So on the bottom, if you move your cursor to the bottom left-hand side of your screen, there should be a video portion. The only reason that you wouldn't have that is if your laptop is older and does not have a camera. It's possible.
Okay, yeah, it does have a camera, and I see that start video icon, and it has, of course, a red line through it.
Yeah.
And no matter what I do, it doesn't doesn't talk to the camera.
Yeah, so what you're probably going to have to do is go into settings of your actual computer and allow access. Again, that's not a Zoom thing. Yeah. That's going to be more of a computer aspect of it. I believe that's the issue. There is a more. Yeah, no, that's not it. That's going live. So, yeah. Well, don't worry. You can still see me. You're still going to be able to see this, and you're going to be able to get the content that I'm sharing with you over the next few days. That sessions that we're going to have together. So, are you a native of Santa Rosa, or are you like most people? You're an import.
Nope, I'm a native. I lived away a few years, but I'm back.
Wow, that's awesome. So, where did you go?
Well, I lived in Norway and in Nepal.
Okay. What were you doing? Doing before you got involved with Colin and Pedego Electric Bikes? I'm curious.
I'm a photographer, so I've traveled the world as a documentary photographer for NGOs, non-governmental organizations doing aid work.
Yeah.
So I've been to a lot of the countries in the world, close to half-ish, I think. And
good for you.
Yeah, well, at a price.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt. Yeah, I've traveled a lot, not like that, but wow, it's outstanding.
So it's a good life, and of course now it's shut down. So I'm a lifelong cyclist, and a friend of mine and I, he told me that the shop had opened, and we walked by one day and took a ride on a couple bikes. And Colin said, if you know anybody's looking at it for work, and then the pandemic hit, and I did what I could do for the first couple of months at in my studio. I did a big remodel in my studio actually, and then I hit up Colin and said, hey, if you want me for a few hours a week, I'll come. And now it's turned into like 20 hours a week.
Good stuff, man.
Yeah, it's fun.
But
I pay him for 30 and in beer.
Nice.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So and I know that where you are is we'll call it wine country without the snooty pricing, better wines. Colin is a huge fan, and I mean when the opportunity presents itself where I can travel safely, then because like you, Bob, I'll tell you, I was on the road. I was slated for 144 days of business travel this year, and
wow.
This is now the way that I'm delivering content. And for most people, it truly, it hasn't changed anything. What I find interesting is I actually had a conversation with another Pedego dealer yesterday, Colin, who's already given me their deposit, and they've said, you know what, I'm going to wait a year. And I'm like, why? I'm curious. And they said, well, and this is the scary part, and just be forewarned. They said, I have no bikes left. I've got 5 bikes left. I don't even have rental bikes. I sold off my rental bikes. So the problem is they've had this massive influx of income, and now they're in July, and they don't have a way to make revenue because they were thinking about the sale, and they weren't thinking about creating, recurring revenue, because rentals are a great way to make money. And then to me, I would wait till the end of season to sell my rentals. So
Yeah, that dumbfounds
crazy
me.
talk.
They don't have any way to make money, and they don't want to learn further. It's like,
well, and I kind of went, you know what, I'm busy, and I'm really thankful, and I appreciate it, and I want more. I'm not about to, like, they didn't ask for their money back. They just said, we're going to wait for you to come live. And I'm like, we don't know when that's going to happen.
Hang on one second. Hey, Bob.
No sweat.
If we just have one computer and I bring it back there, because I'm hearing a little bit of an echo from you, will that work? Will that be okay? All right.
Might as well.
Let's do it.
Yeah, go ahead and leave yours.
Bye, Joe. Nice knowing
Yeah,
you.
we'll see you in a bit.
All right.
Yeah, stereo
Yeah.
Zoom meeting.
There it is. Oh, much better. Yeah, the audio is going to be significantly better. Hey, Bob, good to make your audio and visual acquaintance.
Oh,
Good to see you.
Silhouette.
No worries, man. We're all friends here. I've been looking forward to this training because there's some other stores who, Colin and I have actually been connecting a lot since the Pedego dealer meeting back in December. And unlike other Pedego stores, I mean, I usually tell people, hit me up on Calendly, and because I've been busier than a one-legged guy at an ass picking contest, which is great. And I know you guys are in the same space. But I know when Colin will text, and I'm usually as quick as I can to be responsive on that. And so we've been really shooting the shit a lot over the last few months. And so I know this training is going to be a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to actually coming there live and hanging out at your place, Colin. I'll bring my Shauna so that our respective Shaunas will hang out, and you'll take us to the wineries in the area. I mean, I know that's kind of, that's
Yeah. No, absolutely, Joe. And like I said from the beginning, we share similar mindsets and thought processes, so that we're able to, think a lot alike, and then our experiences lend us, from similar backgrounds to be able to share, the future of where we want to go. Right.
100%. 100%. I mean, and this is where, how do you, for me, and we're going to go over a lot of content over the next few sessions. And so I've had people tell me this is what we're about to start is like trying to drink water from a fire hydrant. There's going to be a lot of information. So, and I'm just going to go off the cuff because, Bob, you're a service guy, and I do have a table of contents that I'm going to flow with in a moment here. But I just want to delve in a little bit more about your background, because I'm curious. Like you said, you're a lifelong cyclist. What do you have in the stable right now? What kind of bikes have you got?
So I race cyclocross. So
Get out of here, man.
you know
I
what
love it.
is?
Oh my God. Listen, it's the only sport in cycling that truly makes sense to me. It does. I mean, the tour is boring as hell.
Oh man,
It is.
Man.
and what I love about cross, I mean, everybody's crazy. You got to admit, to go 45 minutes, essentially all out, going over stuff. Up here, I'm based out of Winnipeg, Canada, so the season for cross is usually in September. It's getting a little colder. Even if it starts to snow a little bit in October, they wet the course down on purpose, which I know in some places they don't. Wipeouts are normal, but everybody laughs because it's places anywhere where you can have more cowbell and people going bananas to watch the whole circuit. That's the way. That's fun. Yeah. So how long have you been racing cross?
6 years now, 6 or 7, something like that.
That's
I raced all my
awesome.
life. I raced road racing first, then mountain biking, and then I discovered cross and screw the rest of this shit. I'm gonna go some fun.
Good for you. Yeah. What kind of bike have you got for a cyclocross bike?
So my main bike is a Stevens, probably not heard of it. It's made in
Not
Germany.
familiar with it. No.
Made in Germany. They're not common here at all.
Okay. I used to work for a company called BH Bikes.
Oh.
And BH out of Spain, they've been building bikes since 1909. They have actually some world champion cross racers on their BH bikes.
Oh, I'll check it out. I have a lot of family in Spain and spend some time there.
Yeah, they're in Bilbao, just outside of Victoria.
Oh, yeah.
So in the Basque area. Yeah. So very cool.
Maybe I'll
So
go.
yeah, outstanding. So as I'm taking notes as well. So documentary photographer, lifelong cyclist. You just were walking past, and Colin said,
Actually, a friend of mine had seen Colin opening up here and told me about it, and then we came over together another time. Came over another time.
To be truthful, Joe, Bob came by to mock electric bikes.
"Sure."
Yeah, and
And I had fun.
and he had fun doing it. We had fun just shooting the shit.
I was brutally honest about what I thought.
Yeah, and then he kept coming back, and he realized that, okay, well, maybe this Colin guy is not such a prick after all.
Well, yeah.
To be determined. And hey, maybe it'll be fun to learn something new, to work on a different type of bike, and
Where was I wrong?
But yeah. I mean, like, there's essentially four things that are going to go wrong with an electric bike, right? And like, again, essentially four. It's either display, controller, motor, or battery. Those are your four biggies. Of course, you can have data cable, and then if you're delving within the battery or within a torque sensor, but all things being equal, those are your big four. And what's really cool about Pedego is they make it, for the most part, modular, right? I mean, you can access. I don't know what it's like right now, but a few months back, accessing parts was very fast. Is that still the case?
Mostly.
it slowed down for a little bit. It's picking back up again. Typically getting from order to getting to me 2 to 3 days. So, yeah.
Cool.
The problem is that I see with the parts whole thing is that they don't enable us. I mean, I'm new to this, of course, and so none of the manuals I have really speak to the details of the operation of it. When we have a problem and want to go troubleshoot it, they just start sending us parts. And of course, they
Okay.
get the part that it needs. And then they send us another part when that one doesn't work. And then they send us another part when that one doesn't work. So it sucks in that way because they're parts changers, basically. We are parts changers, and they are parts guessers.
Yeah,
And it's stupid.
And I've had, he's right, I've had 2 conversations with Christian down there in the last couple of days where I'm like, dude, what is the process that Pedego follows? And can I get that so that I can see it? So I'm totally willing to follow it, but I need to know what it is.
Right.
I want to give feedback on that process too, because the stories that I've had the last 2 weeks of people trying to take advantage of me and calling Pedego, and Pedego responds to them before they respond to me.
Wow.
And that's not right.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, that's like somebody calling Ford Motor Company when they have a problem with their Ford. They just got to go to the dealership.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm dealing with right now is a gal with a Ridge Rider battery who bought it pre-loved, called me and said, I'll buy it if you bring it down. And then I get down there and she goes, well, it's still under pre-loved warranty. And I go, that's something that we didn't talk about on the phone.
Yeah.
So anyway, and then tech is responding to her faster than they're responding to me.
Right.
And I go, Christian, what's up, man? Because that's not cool.
It's not.
We all look like assholes there. So
Yeah. So so I wanted to talk about service a little bit. And just, again, this is not on my curriculum, but it's something that I recommend. And again, guys, take my information like spare ribs. You keep the meat and you throw away the bone. If it doesn't make sense, don't do it. I've seen this work when it comes to service in other shops, and I recommend it because I want you to be profitable. And it's also a way for you to be able to put your customers in their place. And I'm not saying that like to be an a-hole. I'm saying that in the sense that you are the authority. Like, Bob, you're the service guy, and they don't have to know that you've been working with Colin, whether it's for 3 months or it's been for 3 years. They don't need to know how long of the experience level you have. You're the authority because you're there in that position. And so The recommendation that I have is if you have a service cost, let's say, you know, you put up your service rate, and the rate per hour is, what are you currently charging?
75.
75? All
Unless
right.
they watch, then it's 150.
Unless what?
Unless they watch or help, then it's 150.
Then perfect. So you can see that I'm saying $99 an hour. Now, and there's an exercise that you can figure out what your service rate is. And then what you also have is your VIP rate.
Yep.
And the VIP rate would be $79 an hour. This is for people who didn't buy from you. They bought a bike. They could have bought a Pedego, but they didn't buy it specifically from Pedego Santa Rosa. Hey, I'm sorry. That's our rate. My VIP customers get a slight. So again, you're adding value when somebody comes into the store, right? Why would I buy from you? Well, you get VIP treatment. One of the benefits of being a VIP is even if I get other bikes, other brands. So let's assume, because I'm assuming, you know, Bob, if you could work on a Pedego, you can also work on an acoustic bike or an analog bike or a non-electric. I call them acoustic bikes. So if you could fix a regular bike, right, you could still charge the $99 an hour. And the exercise that I recommend is you call up, there's I have M. Evans or Mevans.
Yeah, that's Michael.
Okay, cool. Now I'm going to put Michael here on the list. And Michael is connecting. And I'll continue on this. I'm just going to say hi. Michael, how are you? Michael has no audio or video. So he has, bear with me, Colin and Bob. I'm just going to.
That's fine. Take your time. You can type him a message.
Yeah, I'm going to send him a message. Check the icon on the left. Audio and video.
Always got to work the kinks out in the first one, huh, Joe?
Yeah, yeah, and if people haven't Zoomed before, it's okay.
Yep.
Bottom left, actually that way.
Yeah.
That way on my screen. I've mirrored my image. This way that you guys can read this, so it comes up instead of isverv serve rev.
Oh, right.
Res, because it'll do that if you can mirror image it. So yeah, it would say PIV instead of VIP.
Yeah, I just texted him too, but no worries.
Okay. All right. So we'll see him show up on screen here. So the exercise that I recommend, and I'm going to do this for a quick sec and then come back to it, is we're also going to do this during our time together, is we're going to create the 4 quadrants. So right now you're going to have urgent tasks, urgent, important, non-urgent, and non-important. So what's cool about having these 4 quadrants, yeah, and he's connecting to audio. Oh, and we're good. We've got the audio. Michael, how are you? Michael, can you hear me?
He's deaf.
Michael, you might have to turn your volume up. This wouldn't be the first time that people have to do that.
I had to do it this morning.
Yeah. Michael, can you hear me? Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. All right. So well, I'll set this up right now. And then we'll come back to this piece. This is going to help you make thousands of dollars, Colin. Literally thousands.
Yeah, I already have that in my head, Joe, but you're right. I need to write it down.
Well, this is here. I'm putting this. Your 4 quadrants are going to be up here every time we do one of these.
Okay.
And the idea behind it is we clarify what's urgent, what's important, what's non-urgent, what's non-important. So, like what's urgent, which is like subtext, it's always urgent, is when somebody walks in the door. I mean, this is why. I mean, I could typically do this training in about a day, but I've extended it to 2 days when I visit live because we get interrupted. So unless I get people to come off site and we do it or the store is closed, there's no way that I can make that happen.
Totally understand.
Yeah. Michael, are you there? Nope, still no go. All right. No worries. He'll get it. He'll figure it out.
It's okay. I just took a picture of the bottom left screen, and now I'm texting it to him. But I heard him.
All right.
I thought he clicked in. Anyway,
One thing is that sometimes that dock is hidden on the bottom. He might not be finding it because he might not be putting his cursor down there.
yeah,
On my machine,
Yeah.
put the cursor down there for that dock to show.
got it.
So he may not even be seeing what you're asking him to look at without him putting the cursor down there. So Joe, you look fairly fit for a guy who sits on his ass all day. Supposedly,
Yeah.
obviously not.
No, yeah, I ride. I don't ride as often. You know, it's funny. For as much as I'm in the business, I don't ride as often as I like. That's just classic story. I used to be and still am. I mean, I used to lift and do natural bodybuilding competitively. This would have been almost in my early 40s. So pretty much a decade ago now. But yeah, I was involved in the health and fitness industry before getting involved in the bicycle industry. So yeah, I started off at the age of 18. I was a manager of a specialty exercise equipment store in my still hometown of Winnipeg, Canada.
Oh, wow.
And by the age of 20, I opened up my very first exercise equipment retail store, selling extremely high-end treadmills, ellipticals, home gyms and then expanded from residential to also doing commercial and what we call vertical market sales, going to hotels, corporate, community club, police, fire hall, condos, physiotherapy. So I mean that expanded, and you can see it now, right? Now, 30 years later. So and then I did a merger with a company at the age of 25 where we became Fitness Depot Canada's 7th location. And then within 18 months, we went from 7 to 38 locations.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. You want to talk about scaling and learning quickly how to just completely explode? I learned it was huge lessons were had in that at that point in my life. I sold my shares in my company because I didn't. For me, yes, being profitable, making money is important, but it wasn't the be all end all. For me, like honestly, and to this day, it's still important. I'm going to bring this down. I have a vision board, and on my vision board, one of my whys, one of my big missions is, my mission is I inspire and empower people to choose to build a better quality of life through total health and exercise. So to give you that, remember that because you'll see where I'm going with this. So I go from owning my own fitness stores, selling them off, doing well, becoming a product representative for a fitness company that has roots in the bicycle business, a company called CCM Pro Cycle Group, who also owns Rocky Mountain Bikes. They're a Canadian company. Well, I was their Canadian sales manager. And then after being with them for 5 years, we're 4 years out of 5, they kept cutting my commission because they kept saying, you're not allowed to make that kind of money. And by that point, I made a good reputation for myself within the fitness industry as a whole, especially in the US, not just in Canada. I got hired by a company, headhunted and hired by a company that was a division of a bike company you might know of called Trek. You ever heard of them?
It's somewhere, yeah.
Yeah. So Trek had a fitness division called, it was Trek Fitness. It merged into, it morphed into Vision Fitness. Trek sold off the fitness division to Johnson Health Technologies, which still exists today. And now Johnson owns the brand. Anyways, so I was in charge of Canadian sales, and special projects for Vision Fitness at the time. I was with them for 5 years. Special projects included doing sales training in all of their top retail locations in the US, and then they would bring me over to Johnson in Taipei, Taichung, and in Shanghai. And I would help international sales training. So that's when I got the bug to do what I'm doing now. I also wrote a book back in 2007 called Boutique Thinking in a Big Box World. And then I resigned from Vision and started doing this full time. But then in 2010, I got hired by this Spanish company to go do sales training for their fitness reps at BH Fitness, not knowing that BH Fitness actually had a bicycle division. Like that's their roots with the bicycle division. So you think about it, you had Pro Cycle Group, you had Trek, and now all of a sudden I'm at BH, and I'm helping out their outside reps. And the president of BH North America says, hey, we're about to launch these electric bikes. This is 10 years ago. And I'm like, what's an electric bike? No idea, right? And my first mindset was like, freaking cheater bike? Like what? It totally against what I'm thinking my mission is, right? And he says, come with me. I want you to try it. I hop on, and I shit you not, Bob, I travel maybe 20 yards, and it's pedal assist, and it's torque sensor pedal assist, not just like cadence sensor, bang, it takes off. Like the torque sensor was set at a very low rate, so you had to push on it a little bit, you needed a little bit of uphill, so then it would kick in, but I got it. And I thought to myself, this is the type of thing that would get people off the couch and exercising again.
Yeah.
And I'll probably say this a couple more times during our time together, but realistically, nobody ever says, hey, Bob, come over to my house and try my new treadmill.
Right.
Right? Like, but they get on an electric bike and it's like, holy shit, man, you've got to try this.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of it. So it for me, it's full circle. The people that in the 90s and early 2000s that I was selling exercise equipment to are the same people today that are buying electric bikes and are getting better results because they're having fun. Instead of it being doctor prescribed, they're just going out there because they're doing it because they have a passion for it. So I was in the electric bicycle industry when I didn't know anything about bikes. I wasn't a roadie. I had to go. And so I immersed, I wound down for the most part. I still had a few clients, but my sales training company, I backed off on it. And I said, I'm going to go in this electric bike thing full on because I see a future here. Back then, there were only 5 brands in the e-bike industry. Pedego was only a year old.
Wow.
The Easy Motion was just starting out, and I was one of the first 5 employees. And BH is still around, but they've left the North American market. Like, they screwed up so hard. Like, they could have owned it. They could have owned it, honest to God. And anyways, again, I wasn't leadership. I was a sales territory manager, and I was doing very well. But anyways, Stromer was one of the 5. They're gone. Curry Tech is still around, which they're owned by the Alta Group, and they own High Bike and whatnot. And then there was another company called Emoto, and they're gone. So now, 10 years later, there's over 200 e-bike brands available in North America. 200.
Yeah.
Of which legitimate ones that I would say that are like good players, about 20.
Yeah. Oh, that's good.
Yeah. Where, and in that group, obviously you've got Pedego, which stands alone based on its business model and product lineup. Then you've got the Quamviderate, if you want to call it that, which is, Trek Specialized Giant Cannondale, like the big 4. They're all in the game now. 10 years ago, they were all saying, poo-poo e-bikes, like, literally giving people the finger on e-bikes.
Right.
And I'm not kidding. I was the guy who was showing up in a product van. I think about it. Before I got involved in e-bikes, I was standing on stages talking to people about sales training, but primarily in the fitness division, like fitness world, right? It was whether you were a personal trainer or a gym owner or a especially fitness equipment retailer. So that was my space. But then when the e-bike thing came along, I kind of hit the brakes on that, and I just saw where e-bikes were going. And I just said, man, I'm going to be able to make a name for myself in this e-bike thing, which it happened, which is great. But so I took a step back in a sense where I was making less money. I was in a van driving. My territory when I first started with BH was Canada coast to coast, North Dakota to Texas west, Hawaii, and Alaska. Like I was on the road all the freaking time. And when I started with BH, Colin, Shauna wasn't even in the picture. No, that's not true. She was, but we were dating. We weren't living together or anything yet. So she was used to me being gone. Now with COVID, I'm always home. I'm driving her nuts.
That's my problem with my Shauna too. She was
driving her nuts.
Yeah, no, I'm with you because, you know, now we wake up next to each other every morning and she's like, "You're not leaving yet?"
Yeah. So
yeah, well, there's
a little bit of my background. And what's interesting is I remember, and part of my French, but I remember going into several shops who, like, to this day, I can walk up to these guys and I'll say, "I remember you," and they'll remember me because they're the ones who said, "Get the fuck out of my store with that."
That's right.
Yeah,
it's amazing how attitudes have changed.
So and there's still a huge amount of people that either don't know, like they've heard about e-bikes now, you know, 10 years later now people are e-curious, like they're like, well, what are these e-bikes about? Or two, they know of them but they don't like them, but they've never tried one, right. So they don't understand it. That is we've got an opportunity for at least another 15 years, you know, like before we get to that major hump where it hit mass. So like as a business, you're both in it at the right time. I promise you. And never mind, COVID's helped the whole bike industry as a whole, right? It's amazing.
Yeah, the way I see it, only about half of the sales right now are e-bikes in Santa Rosa, and so it won't be long. It'll be 100%. We'll be there for it.
It's starting to happen. Like Eurobike 10 years ago was approximately 20% e-bikes. Eurobike last year was almost all electric. And Eurobike is like 3 football fields full of bikes, like booths, and it's craziness. So coming back to this exercise, the exercise of this is taking your Google map, putting in bike shop, and taking the 5 closest bike shops near you, and so then I would say this is an urgent task, and I would just go, and it's bike shop recon is what I'm going to call it. And all you're going to do is you're going to call recon reservice or service. And all you're going to do is you're going to call these 5 bike shops in your area, and you're just going to say, and I'm going to send you a photo of this if there's any changes every time that we connect. And then you're going to call the shops and just call them and go, hey, I'm just curious, what is your hourly rate? Take the 5, whatever the highest amount is, that's your new service rate. But your VIP rate is the average of the 5. I'm just using these as arbitrary numbers. But because what this does is you've got somebody who's a roadie, somebody who's been in a mountain bike, somebody who's into cross. So you obviously understand everything there is to know about an acoustic bike. And then you add the fact that you're the e-bike experts of the area. So you can do both, fixing regular bikes and fixing e-bikes. The only thing is your VIP customers are the ones that have bought. They take precedence, so they get a better price. But the other benefit too, especially where somebody who brings in another Pedego, Michael's iPad 2 is trying to come on. Let's see if that works.
Yeah, I told him to use a different device.
Okay, we're going to see if this works. He's connecting to audio. Bear with it, guys.
Yeah, no worries.
All right. Michael's iPad, go down below for video. He's got the video option, but no audio right now.
Yeah, that's okay. He said his audio wasn't working on the computer.
I would tell him if the audio on his computer, I would turn the mic up or make sure his speakers are turned on and or volumes up or speakers are plugged in, because I can see the audio icon and he's got audio, but on his iPad he's got neither.
Hey, so on the bottom left of your screen, you're gonna have to move your cursor or kind of tap. Got it. So on your iPad, I haven't done it on the iPad, but if you're gonna tap on the screen,
Swipe your screen on the iPad. Swipe it, not tap.
Swipe the screen on the iPad. You'll see 2 buttons on the bottom. One is mute, bottom left, and then right next to it will say start video, and then you'll have to make sure that your volume is up. Yep.
He's connecting to audio and he's connected. Michael, are you there? Michael, can you hear me?
He just hung up. So.
All right. He's got audio on his iPad now. So make sure, turn your volume up. And let me know if you can hear me, Michael.
You should come over here too.
Yeah, Friday I'll have all of them here.
Okay. Are we on Friday?
Wednesday,
Yes, we
Friday,
are.
buddy.
Yeah, we are. 12:30 to 2:30. You are correct.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. Awesome.
Yeah. So anyway, a little bit of a delay, but that's okay.
If we need to add a session, like, at the end, because here's the thing, man. If I'm not done all of the stuff that I want to deliver, then I'm just going to say we're adding a day. Don't worry about it. Like, to me,
I appreciate that.
Of course, the value to me is I want to be able to make sure that we get through it all.
Yeah.
So, and this is what happens. I mean,
Yeah. Hey, curious question for you though, because I'm going to be buying a Platinum Interceptor from Pedego. I'm going to be ordering next week and buying the following week. When do you send them in confirmation that I've paid you for that credit?
When we usually at the end,
Okay.
I do a video, testimonial video with all participants, and then I record it, and then I send it over to Don, Wendy, Tom, Cassidy, and then Wendy is boom.
Got it.
So and she gives you the credit immediately.
Got it. Yeah, because we
We could do it. Like, here's what we could do. We could do like on Friday or on Tuesday or next week. We
do
could
the testimonial.
We can do the testimonial ahead of time if you want. I mean, I can listen. I give you 100% money back guarantee. Knock on wood. I've never had anybody say screw
So
this.
I'm not worried about
back.
that, brother. You already earned it. Okay, so stop with that.
Okay, thanks,
that's
buddy.
fine. But the reason being is that I'm going to be buying a Platinum Interceptor. I'm going to be ordering next week, paying for it the following week. I just want to make sure we get the time.
Get the credit ahead of time. That's smart.
Yeah.
Sure.
Michael says he can hear us, but we can't hear him. So let's just go ahead and get rolling.
Okay. Michael, can you see down below there's a chat area? If you there's a chat window, there's actually a chat icon at the bottom. If you swipe on the bottom of your screen, whether you're on your iPad or if you roll your cursor, you'll be able to type in any questions you may have. I'll be able to see it. So feel free to use the chat at any time. Even if there we go. I've got the thumbs up. I see your thumbs up. So you're making a reaction. That's good. You can also applaud if you like what you're hearing, which is good.
Now
good.
you're giving yourself way too much credit, Joe.
Hey man, I'll applaud. There you go. He's applauding. That's great. Awesome, buddy. We'll figure this technology out, man.
Okay, so and Michael, to give you a little bit of knowledge, Joe, to give you a little bit of knowledge about Michael.
Please.
I worked for Michael for almost 8 years in the hot tub business. Michael has worked in retail stores. He's grown multiple store locations for hot tub businesses. He worked for Watkins Manufacturing for over 20 years in both a regional sales manufacturing capacity and then a national sales manager capacity, managing 5 or 6 of us. So
Wow.
Michael's got a plethora of sales knowledge and is a super duper resource. He helped me get my store started here. We did the flooring,
Nice.
we did a lot of the setup.
That's
and
great.
Then, and then he's helped me a couple days a week because he's not working right now. So just to give you a little bit of background about him, but he can share his own when he is able to.
Right on. Yeah, whether we do it this way or we see you, on another source, that's great. So how long have you and Michael known each other? Like 20 plus
A
years?
little over 9, probably almost 10. Well, shit, July would be 10 years now. So
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Right on. Okay. I'm
and
just
I'll let
taking
him
notes.
tell you about me on his own.
Will do. The reason if you see me going down on taking notes, is just, yeah, I'm a big believer. Confucius say bad handwriting better than good memory. So, so again, I'm here to impart information in terms of sales. However, as far as being an army of one, the concept of being an army of one is truly being able to understand when you're going to automate, delegate, and eliminate, and really be able to figure out how I can grow my business. So we were just talking about the service and VIP rates, and I'm going to come back to this in a sec, but I'm going to start here. We all get to work and we end up having these massive to-do lists, and it becomes an absolute gong show. So the order that you want to put it into your quadrants, and it was actually your president Eisenhower who came up with this, and then it was Stephen Covey with the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People who reiterated this, and even my coach talks about this as well. And it's having your 4 quadrants of what's urgent, what's important, what's non-urgent, and what's non-important. The stuff that's actually going to help you really move the needle to your business is going to happen here in the important and non-urgent sections of your 4 quadrants. Urgent is, holy shit, I got fires to do, or I got to hurry up and get this done real quick. And so I like to put this bike shop recon for service. It's a quick task. Honestly, calling 5 stores and finding out what their service per hour rate is real quick. Once you get that, and the idea, Colin, is just delegate this task to somebody or choose to take it on yourself. So what you do is you put something on a list and you go, who's doing it by when? So realistically, if I said, hey man, can you call the 5 most closest shops to you by Friday? Like, somebody could do that in 15 minutes. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, totally.
Okay. So then the idea is, so if I put this in, I'm going to put it in for Friday. So now I'm holding you accountable to that. So it's like me playing role of coach. Somebody by Friday better have this done so that you'll be able to know what the idea of what your service map will look like. The idea of your service or your service sign is you'll put this sign up in your store for everybody to see. Like this, you can get this done in Coroplast. Some of the stores that I've done training with, they've actually named their services. Like in the land of Pedego, they'll call it, the hug, the full love. Like, it can sell the whole, community thing that Pedego is creating. So if you're doing a basic tune-up, it's, like the high 5. And if it's like the full tune-up overhaul, it's, in all of it. And you just name it whatever you want. Ultimately, so you can have package prices put together above and beyond your service price. Now, John in Carlsbad is probably the best example I can give you. He's doing 5 figures a month in service alone. Okay, wow. So he's doing over 10 grand a month, and he repairs all brands. Take my information like spare ribs, keep the meat and throw away the bone. When you, as a Pedego store, Pedego is essentially the only brand that you carry. That doesn't mean that you can't fix other brands. The question that you have to ask yourself is, am I going to store other bicycle brands in the store? My answer would be, again, my opinion is don't. If you're doing service work where it's on an acoustic bike or non-electric bike and you're repairing it, that's one thing. Putting it up on the stand, getting it done, getting it out the door, that's pretty quick. But if you're bringing in another e-bike brand, whether it's Specialized or whether it's Rad Power, I would say different type of battery. I would definitely say, listen, here's the thing. I can do a diagnostic on your bike, and it costs whatever your service rate fee is per hour.
Yep.
So let's just say it's $99. Now, for $99, I can do that just for fun while I'm looking at it. Take one of my Pedegos out. Like, they're going to wait. Allow them to go for a test ride on a Pedego so they know what they're missing.
Yep.
Because the only way you're going to sell more bikes is butts on bikes, which leads me to because I really want to be able to hear Michael, so I'm kind of going over. I'm going to back
And
off.
just so you know, Michael is like the king of whiteboarding, so he's
Cool.
already critiquing you right now.
No sweat. I can
Okay.
I can take it. I can take it. So on a scale of 1 to 10, and Michael, if you want to give me the thumbs up on your iPad, can you access the chat box? Yes, he can. Excellent. Okay. So answer this question in the chat if you want. And here's the question to you, Colin, and put this. Let's let Bob and Michael answer first. On a scale of 1 to 10, okay? Or sorry, on a scale of 0 to 100. How many people come into the store and buy on the first visit? So they come into your location. Out of 100 people, how many actually buy on the first visit? There's no wrong answer. I'm just curious what your thoughts are. They come into
A wild guess because I don't have any sales experience here. Really, I just know what I see. So 25, 20% maybe.
20%. So you're saying 20? Okay. What do you think, Michael?
He probably thinks 50%.
It's actually
Wow.
So Michael, if you can answer that in the chat, I'd be curious.
Sign language.
50%.
Yeah. Yeah.
So 50%. So 50 people out of 100 walking into your store currently are buying bikes. What do you think, Colin? Do you know what your statistics are?
Yeah, I'm going to say right now,
Yeah.
it's probably closer to 25 to 30%. I'm going to
Right.
go with 25.
Okay.
Only because of the by appointment business where I'm literally qualifying everybody before they come in.
Okay.
Yeah, so 25.
So that, just so you guys know, this is way up, like, and I know that this is due to COVID. Pre-COVID, this number was 5. It was 5%. Like, I mean, it was awful. Now, the fact is, though, this is the interesting part. You've got 25 out of 100 that are buying, which is on first visit, which is absolutely awesome. And so this still tells me that 75 are walking, which the critical component to that has to be follow-up, right? Which you're already on, Colin, so I don't have to, talk to you about lead cycles or anything else. I mean, you're already doing follow-up, which is critical. But that's why follow-up is so critically important. 75 people out of 100 aren't necessarily buying on the first visit. The statistic is when somebody tries out a bike, an electric bike, and Bob, you and I were discussing this earlier, the surprise that people who don't know, they think they know, but then they try it, and then it's like, oh my God, this is unbelievable. The time frame of when somebody comes in to visit and they do actually test ride a bike to purchasing is 96 hours. You got 4 days on average. When somebody tries one, because they don't buy because they need it. They buy it because they want it.
And
it becomes desire.
Sorry, what percentage of people buy within that 4 days?
It depends on the store, but in this case here, we're hearing 25%. The vast majority, based on 10 years of just data that I've been speaking to people that are in the electric bicycle business, keeping in mind that I've visited over 1,000 stores now over a decade. There like 1,000 stores of e-bike only stores. I've visited about 220 that are like, I've visited over 100 Pedego only stores, not only by Zoom. I'm talking like physically been in their stores. But then on top of that, other e-bike only stores across Canada and the US. So, and most people would agree that if they've done follow-up, sometimes if somebody's not, like a lot of people don't come back, but they bought somewhere else.
Right.
Here's the key factor. And this is the question. Out of the same 100 people, how many of them test ride?
And this is a question for Michael and me,
Yep.
or Colin.
Out of 100 people that walk in the store, how many of them actually get what and this is the word that I like to use, and you're going to like this. It's butts on bikes.
Right.
If they ain't bobbing, they ain't buying.
Right. Well, of course, because of the COVID thing, you know, we're doing this mostly by appointment, so it's nearly everyone.
Okay.
Well, of course, now there are the people who come in thinking they're just going to get served walking in, and then we say, oh, you know, sorry, we're doing this by appointment. We have a small shop. You know, I've heard the story many times, and so can we make an appointment with you? So actually,
Perfect.
it's probably maybe it's 70%. So there's probably 30% that make an appointment, 70% come here with an appointment, probably that they've got my phone or they didn't witness. That's my thought.
Michael's saying 95% are test riding. Which is awesome.
Yeah. I think it's probably 80%.
Huge
again,
numbers.
I need to get better about my documentation of it, but I set it up. I set it up that way where it's like, look, come ready to ride.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Like I'll tell you right now, like this is huge numbers.
Yeah.
25 and 80 are like it's gargantuan. The industry, not only just Pedego, I'm just talking industry average, pre-COVID, mind you, but still, is five out of 100. Like, I mean, 95 people were walking. It's a huge number. I mean, you have to talk to 400 people to sell 20 bikes. That's a shit ton of work, man. And then here, the average, most people would say they would say about 50, which I knew they were lying, so it was really more like 40. But let's assume that it's 50. In this case, COVID or not, when you can influence this number, and you can make this an 80 to a 90, you're influencing this number. Like, period. If you do this, you get more bobs, you're going to get more sales on the first visit. Period. End of story.
I don't want any more bobs.
No more bobs.
That's right.
Bobs.
So when you hear me talking about butts on bikes, that is like at the end of it all, this is the critical component. More bobs, which is really more test rides, equals more sales.
Yeah.
And the three words that you want to use to be able to get more bobs. Just for fun. I'll take credit for what I've come up with in my career, which is not a hell of a lot because I usually just pick things from other people and go, hey, I'm packaging it, here it is. But this one I used back when I was selling exercise equipment. And like I said to you earlier, Bob, nobody says, hey, Michael, come over to my house and try my new treadmill. When I was selling treadmills, ellipticals, home gyms to people, didn't matter what they were in for, I would say, you know what, just for fun, come with me. I never said, would you like to try the treadmill?
Right.
Nobody, treadmill? So, I mean, and a lot of people are going to give you the excuse, they don't have the time. I'm not dressed for it. Whatever. So I don't ask anybody, do you want to try it? I tell them, just for fun, come with me. And I go first. So I'm going to give you guys the little steps in the process that I recommend. And bear with me because I want a prop. And I want to show you guys this one because I think it's important. It's important enough that I'm going to go digging for it. And I do have a prop to show you. Should have had this out ahead of time, but that's all right. And of course, it's going to be in a different pocket. You gotta be kidding me. There we go. There it is. All right. Totally worth the wait. You want to get one of these.
Oh, yeah.
The reason is when anybody walks in the door, absolutely anybody, count it. I asked earlier, what are your metrics? When you can measure it, you can grow it. Now I'm talking, this is absolutely simple. And simplicity is elegance. You know, and Michael's trying to come in again. So here we go, we'll try it. So when you have a counter Absolutely anybody, including the mail person. If the mailman or mailwoman hasn't hopped on a Pedego yet, you got to stop them in their tracks and hey, just for fun, I want you to try this. I want your and sometimes it's the way that I did it when I went and visited shops when I was being told to go to hell and get out of my effing store, or get the F out of my store with that because I was the bicycle antichrist. Which meanwhile now, and here's the thing: a lot of those same stores called me back years later wanting to get bikes. So e-bikes, what a surprise! Anyways, if what I would say is, hey, you know what? I know that this bike isn't for you or your customers, but just for fun, hop on and give me your feedback. And every one of them said, oh my God, because the benefit of pedal assist, right? And so this is for the win, just for fun. And now the way that I recommend it is we play our A game. A for acknowledge. So if somebody comes in the door, and again, right now you're by appointment only. So am I assuming correctly, is the door locked or is it?
No, it's not locked. On a nice day like today where it's only in the 80s, I'll actually have the doors open and bikes outside. So I do get a fair amount of walk-in traffic. It's just that when I'm close to having that next appointment and somebody pops in, I say, yeah, I really have to do this by appointment so that everybody feels comfortable.
Got it. So when somebody comes in for an appointment, nonetheless, and again, I'm going to play the retail game because when COVID eventually, either through herd immunity, vaccine, or people just get sick and tired of having it, because I don't know if you know the history of I think it was the Spanish flu. People were just like, enough's enough. We're just going to live our lives. And believe it or not, people just started going back to whatever the normal was. Eventually, we're going to get back to that. I don't know what that's going to look like, but I always believe that, hey, even if somebody comes in for an appointment, they might arrive early. So they come in and it's before 12 o'clock where you are and they're walking in. Acknowledge, hey, folks, be with you in a quick moment. Especially if it's their first time in your store, doors open, they walk in, give them 10 seconds. Like your store's not like 10,000 square feet, right, Colin? How many square feet have you got there? About 1,200
square feet, buddy.
Okay. So how, let me ask, and Michael, give me the thumbs up if you've had this happen to you before. Have you ever gone into a retail store and been ignored?
Yeah.
That ever happen to you, Bob?
Yeah.
Yeah. So how did that make you feel?
I left.
Right. And you were probably ready to spend money.
Who cares? It doesn't matter. I'm not going back.
Absolutely. Right. So the thing with this is, like, in playing your A game, is part of that is you want to have high energy. That goes without saying. Highest energy wins, especially in sales, right? If you don't have high energy, there's no way that you're going to be able to be excited about the products that you're showing. But the other piece of the A game is A is for acknowledge. And this is just so brutally obvious, but people don't acknowledge. And this is why part of the SOS, as Colin knows very well, it's the first step of handling an objection. You acknowledge, then you ask a question, which we're going to do some sales objection system training together. So play the A game, have high energy, and again, somebody walks in, hey folks, I'll be with you in a quick moment. I've seen so many Pedego dealers, so well-intentioned, and what ends up happening is they get up the second somebody walks in and they crowd their space and they're in the prospect's bubble. So, hey folks, acknowledge, I'll be with you in a quick moment. It's no different than if I'm in the middle of a conversation with you, Bob, and Michael walks in, and I don't know who Michael is. So I'm in the middle of a conversation with you, and just using body language, I could look over at Michael without losing a step with you and saying, just this, giving him the finger, not the finger, this finger, like this one, not this one. So it's like I'm in the middle of a conversation, somebody walks in, and I'm talking with you, and I can look over and just go like this. They now, right, you've been acknowledged. And so you're showing them respect. And then the goal is for me to get you to be bus on bike as quickly as possible so then I can go back over to the new person who's walked in. That is the critical component. Salespeople tend to get caught up in, I'm in the middle of a conversation and I'm unfortunately having to ignore the new prospect to come in. The beauty of these products is I can get you out for an extended test ride. In fact, now that I've got somebody else who's come in, I can say, all right, Bob, here, based on what you just told me, and I'm going to go over a template of questions with you guys, but we get to the, based on what you just told me, I've got 2 or 3 different bikes that I'm going to recommend for you. And I'm going to give you the best one first. So just for fun, right? Just for fun, come with me, hop on this one. You've already done what I call the mini spin. I'm going to show that in a sec. And then I'm going to tell you, because now I've got new client, Michael, who's just walked in. I'm going to say, so here's what we're going to do. Bob, I want you to ride this for 10 minutes. I'm not charging a rental fee. I want you to go out and have some fun, really take the time to ride, play with the buttons, shift the gears, get out of here. I don't want to see you for at least 10 minutes. But what I'm doing is I'm buying time. Yeah. I'm getting you to go experience the product. And now I have time to go up to Mr. Prospect, whose name is Michael. And I would say, and ask Michael, who I walked in, and I go, excellent. So is this your first time in the store? How did you hear about us? Have you ever ridden a Pedego before? Always your first 3 questions.
Yeah.
Always your first 3 questions.
First time
in the store. How did you hear about us? You ever ride a Pedego before? And these are vital questions. Number 1, I'm measuring the metrics of traffic coming in. And I would recommend measuring the metrics of the phone traffic you're getting as well. So we're going to have to practice, where there's a section later on in a future call where it's called Give Good Phone. We're going to be talking about how you give good phone and make sure that you get people to come in and book appointments, because you guys are an appointment-based business right now, and that's critical. But the other thing that, and I'm going to share my screen with you guys, I'm going to show you guys this piece right here. And this is what I call my daily metrics tracker. Colin, have I sent you this yet?
No, sir.
Okay, I'm going to send you this after the call. You'll get it later this evening. You're going to get the idea of the daily metrics tracker is you're going to be able to measure, basically taking this counter, you're going to count the number of people who come in the store, total number of people. Then you're going to ask them, first time in the store, it's a yes or no question. And some salespeople are against asking questions that have no in it at the top. I think that's bullshit. I think you're absolutely, it's the idea of having a template is it's repeatable and it's measurable. So you're going to ask the first 3 questions. Hey, welcome here. Be with you in a quick moment. You give them 10 seconds. 10 seconds, by the way, for some people feels like an eternity. It's 10 seconds. Here's 5.
Yeah, I'm getting nervous.
Yeah, like people are freaking out. Like, let them walk in. Let them take a look at the colors of the bikes. So then, okay, folks, so it's your first time here? And if they say no, well, then they're a B back. So you just go, okay, you put them in as a B back. There you go. If it is their first time here, then it's like, or it's a repeat customer. And then it's like, oh, okay, well, how did you hear about us? Well, in the perfect world, you'd hope that it's a referral. But then this is what's important. Some people would say, well, I saw you online. Last time I checked, the internet's a big fucking place, pardon my French. So, and I'm French Canadian, so I can say that. Pardon the language, though. So, where online? And ask for specifics. Was it a website? Was it Google Map, Google Review? If they say, oh, I searched it, what were your search words? Because the more that Colin knows in terms of what's working to drive traffic in, the more he can put money into that resource. Because all of this is profit dollars, whether it's social media, whether it's offline, radio, TV, newspaper, in-store, out-of-store promotions, and other. And you can expand on this. So, Colin, you'll be able to get this, and you'll be able to edit it to your liking. And it's literally to the day. So all the months, it auto-populates. So you count the total number of customers, and then you cross-reference your total number of test rides, and then you cross-reference your total number of sales. Boom.
Cool.
You get these metrics, and you'll get those metrics out of 3 basic questions. First time in the store, how did you hear about us? Be specific, write it down, like walk around with a clipboard if you have to, and then you ever ride a Pedego before? The hope, and the 9 times out of 10 is, and you don't say, have you ever ridden an electric bike before? Have you ever ridden a Pedego before? it leads to this. And you're going to say this, but you're going to use this to get there. So when you go first time, so walk in, click, first time in the store, how did you hear about us? I saw something on Facebook. Cool, Facebook. You ever ride a Pedego before? And they say, no. Awesome. Just for fun, come with me. And like, cut to the chase, get outside, get on the bike. Here's the recommendation that I have for you. Pick 3 bikes that are going to be at the ready, that are going to be able to cover what I call the mini spin. The mini spin is, just like I told you earlier, Bob, in my first ever experience with an electric bike was 20 yards. And I stopped dead on my tracks after the pedal assist kicked in, and I was like, are you kidding me? This is game changing. So all I did was straight line, turn the bike around, come back. And I was personally sold back then 10 years ago. You can do the exact same thing with Pedego. Now, again, take my information like spare ribs, keep the meat, throw away the bone. Pedego recommends that you show the throttle first. At least Cassidy does. I totally disagree with that. And I'm not saying that his approach is better or not. Just hear me out. I want to be able to decrease probability of objections during my presentation. One of the biggest objections that people say is that it's a cheater bike. So what I'm going to do is first of all, I'm going to go first. And the reason I'm going to go first is I'm going to show monkey see, monkey do. So first time in the store, how'd you hear about us? You ever ride a Pedego before? No? Awesome, just for fun, come with me. And I'm going to pick one of my 3 bikes. My recommendation is Boomerang, Platinum, or Black Edition Step Through, and a Mini Scepter. So I would actually do the Boomerang. I would the Boomerang, the Black Edition City Commuter, and the Platinum Edition. Platinum Edition now is available in a 24-inch, right?
Yes.
Okay, so if it's not the 24-inch, then at least the regular 24-inch Interceptor, which people at Pedego coin it the Mini Scepters. So now you've got you'll fit everybody in terms of height. Those are your 3 bikes. Batteries are in. They're ready to go. Like, there's no questions about it. They're like, you just walk up. You don't even have to click the back battery. It's turn it on. You're ready to rock. You go first. The reason that you go first, let me ask you this question. Colin, when you ride a Pedego, when you get Pedegos back from a rental or a test ride, what gear are they in?
7.
Right? So it's the highest possible gear. When you start pedaling in 7th gear, unless you hit the throttle, it's hard to pedal, even with pedal assist on, right? The bike goes like this before it kicks in, correct?
Yep.
I go first. I'm only going 20 yards, and I downshift the bike. Click, 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 click to 2nd or 3rd. And I come back, but I've still got pedal assist. And the bike is ready. Now, and I'm going first to make sure the bike is perfect. Because sometimes, something's off. So I'm making sure the bike's perfect. And I come back and then I go, all right, I just want you to do what I just did. Monkey see, monkey do. And if I come back on the ride, I'm going to be like, woohoo, all right. Just for fun, your turn. And I'm going to stand in front of the bike. And then I'm going to have my phone. And the benefit of this is I'm going to have my phone and I'm going to immediately open up my test ride waiver, which you already have. And I'm going to stand in front of the bike, even if it's just a mini spin, because what I want to do is I want to make sure that if they don't buy today, I've got them set up for follow-up. Follow-up is critical. So here, this is all about follow up. So the process is literally for acknowledge, hey folks, I'll be with you in a quick moment, even if nobody's in the store. Minimum 10 seconds, give them a little time. First time in the store, how'd you hear about us? You ever ride a Pedego before? Measure them, measure it with the daily metrics, then you go out first. Pick the bike that's based on their height that's gonna fit. You go out, I like the Boomerang because it's a very unique product. But now the question becomes also, and this is going to be important for you because it's a question of available inventory. And so you're going to need to SWOT. It's not strength, weaknesses, opportunities and threats. It's sell what's available today. Because I don't know what boomerang inventory is like, Colin. What is it like?
This week it's better. I've got a couple coming, but
Okay, cool.
and I've kept one of everything.
Nice.
So
Good for you.
I have it to show and sell. I just don't have it. Or sorry, I have it to show. I don't have it to sell necessarily. But
Okay. So even if you can take deposits on some that are coming in the short while coming up, you're ahead of me.
I won't take a deposit until I have a confirmed order.
Okay. Okay.
And I just don't want the phone call every third day.
Fair enough. So coming back to it, first time in the store, how'd you hear about us? You ever ride a Pedego before? I like the boomerang because I can quickly show the adjustable handlebar stem, do that as well on the city commuter, and then I go 20 yards, I downshift, I come back, bike's ready, I turn around, just for fun, your turn. I don't say, do you want to try it? Because you know what the answer is? I have it. Nope. So it's like they come back and see how cool it is. They saw me speed off, but not super fast. I come back and I will profile my client. If it's somebody who's like my mom's age, she's 78, I will ask, ma'am, when was the last time you rode a bike? And if she says, well, it's been 40 years, I'll say, okay, here's what we're going to do. I've already downshifted to third. Now I'm going to downshift it to first. I'm going to turn the electric completely off. And I'm going to say, just for fun, I want you to ride this because if you can't ride this at all, because safety first, right? I'm not out to sell something to somebody if they're going to get hurt on it, right? So they got to be able to ride it. That's going to be about 1 out of 100 people right now, maybe even 2 out of 100 because we're getting a lot more people that are going cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs being stuck inside and they just want to get out. So I mean, and they need an electric bike, but really what they'll need is a trike. And I heard trikes aren't available till January.
Yeah, I've got one left, and it's pretty much gone as soon as I get the seat post for it. So
yeah. So again, the 3 bikes that I recommend: step through black. By the way, is the Black Edition City Commuter now going to be called the Platinum Edition City Commuter?
They're changing it. Yep.
Okay.
They don't want the verbiage to have to be different. So whether it comes in platinum color or not, I don't recall. But yes, it will be called the Platinum.
Okay. So either way, the Platinum City Commuter, the Platinum Interceptor, or the Mini Scepter, those are the 3 bikes that I recommend. You go first, you come back, and then it's named. This is critical, and you already have the tool. You got to get the name capture before they ride. You absolutely have to do this so that the follow-up ensues. So it's pretty simple. You know what? And this is the verbiage that you're going to use. It would be, well, you know what, Bob? Or it's like, okay, well, Mr. Mrs. Prospect, before you take off on this little spin, I just want you to be sure that you're going to be responsible for yourself. It's just a formality. It is a company policy that I get your information for our test ride waiver. Can I ask you your first name? And they say, in this case, Bob. Well, nice to meet you, Bob. And Bob, what's your last name? Go ahead, Bob, just for fun.
Stender.
I'm sorry?
Stender.
Stender, Stender?
Correct.
All right. And then you can have on your waiver, which Colin, you probably already know, you can have it automatic. It's helmet is mandatory or not. You can choose that. And then phone number, email address. And based on COVID, you can choose to, I'm just going to, with your permission, I'm going to tap it for you because of COVID, or I'll just get you to touch the screen right there and they do it. But on the test ride waiver, it'll be icon on your phone and you, the salesperson, will do it all because you have access. It's your phone. People with COVID and everything else, the whole situation, they're going to understand it. Then they go.
I do it all the time and nobody ever has a problem with it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So now you've got Mr. or Mrs. Prospect. They go for 20 yards and they come back. You've already got the follow-up information in hand. So you're already ahead of the curve. Now all you got to do is when they come back. Have you already set up the icon on people's phones, Colin?
No, I've told Bob that I'm going to send it to him. I just haven't yet. So I'm gonna send it to Bob and to Michael and then show them how to do that.
Okay. If you want, I've got a video that shows how to do it. It's a YouTube linked video. I can send you that as well. Like what kind? If you have an iPhone or an Android. Okay.
can handle it right now.
iPhone. Yeah, it's pretty easy.
Yeah.
I'm
It is so easy. Okay, so I'll leave that, but I'll make sure that the DM tracker gets sent to you, and that's good. All right. So those are your three questions. Just crank those out. Measure your metrics. I promise you, Colin, with just doing that so far, this number will grow. You're going to get more sales on the first visit, but you'll also be able to see what your follow-up metrics are, which is no-brainer. I'm just going to have a sip here.
It's done. How can you go all day and drink those lemon waters and teas and not pee? Or are you just doing it?
Oh, I've been peeing like 3 times already. I don't get up.
You're just sitting on the toilet, right? Just like us or me.
Yeah, you can't
No,
see.
Joe's-
I'm drinking.
No,
too.
Joe's
can't
an
see
animal.
me?
He's probably got a catheter or something.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all day long, man.
Hey, Joe,
Yes.
can you hear me?
Hey,
Michael,
Michael!
Who's
Yeah.
that?
we got you, brother. How are you?
God, that was frustrating. But at least I heard everything you said.
I'm glad, because I honestly thought that you were like Snuffleupagus, just a figment of my imagination. That's a Sesame
I'm
Street
here.
reference for those parents that have little people, and I don't anymore. They're all old people. So, Michael, this is great, man. I got a little bit of feedback in terms of where you know Colin. Which brands were you with in the hot tub industry?
We manufactured Hot Spring and Caldera spas.
And were they based out of California? I'm asking out of complete ignorance.
It's a Vista, California is the main office.
I know where that is. Yeah.
And we have two, or they had 2 locations in Tijuana.
Ah, okay, yeah.
manufactured down there.
And ask. Correct me if I'm wrong. Did Sundance or Jacuzzi have something down in Mexico as well?
Yes, and I went to work. I left Watkins and went to work for Sundance and Jacuzzi, and they have a manufacturing plant down there also.
I have. If you work with those guys, you might know Club Piscine out of Quebec.
Yes.
Yeah, I did all of their fitness sales training
Yeah.
and onboarding for all 44 locations.
Yeah, that place. They're big. They're huge.
Huge.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when they hired me to do for years, I was doing all of their fitness stuff, doing all their sales training. They're shrewd negotiators, as you probably are aware.
Yes.
Yeah, and a huge importing company. Well, that's great, man. Well, you know what? I'm going to go back into the regular curriculum because you're now on board, and it leads me to ask the question of, because I usually start with why. I don't know if you're familiar with the book from Simon Sinek. It's Start With Why. I believe the why question is a critical one, and I'll ask this question to you, Colin. Like you heard already, Colin and Bob heard already, one of my personal missions that I have on the back on my vision board is I want to help people live a better quality life through the benefits of total health and exercise. It's a passion of mine, and I find electric bikes is a great outlet for that. It gets people mobile. It gets people healthy. I've had more people losing weight on e-bikes than I ever did in my years of the fitness industry. So that's a powerful why. And when I leverage my sales experience in the fitness and e-bike industries with you folks, I'm leveraging myself, and it's a powerful why. I've also got, my dream lake house up there, and that's also a driver so that I can have when my grandkids eventually come along, because I'm at that point in my life. Yeah, I mean, I want to have this magical space. So we already have a lake house, but it's 3 seasons. So we want to have a 4-season lake house that Shauna, my wife, and I can retire to. So that's another powerful driving force of why. And so what's your why, Colin? Like, why are you in this business? And what do you just share it with us?
Mine's not gonna be nearly as powerful as yours is, Joe. And we did this a long time ago in one of your first sales trainings, I think at Pedego. But I think what I'm gonna say is, always been passionate about mountain biking, and I want to introduce cycling to many others through electric bikes.
So you have a passion for bikes.
Yep.
I love it. That's great. Suddenly I'm crapping the bed on the whiteboard because I know Michael's a whiteboard guy. My rule is whoever's holding the pen doesn't make spelling mistakes. Doesn't matter
No,
if I
that's
wrote
right.
customer with a K. So,
I'll
so you
bring
have a
my
passion.
whiteboards for next week, okay?
I'll
I'll bring my whiteboards for next week. My
Sure.
skills are not nearly as good as Michael's, but maybe I'll have some here for Friday.
Sounds great. So any other reasons why? I mean, obviously it had to be an opportunity.
Look, in my years of traveling like you, it's hard to exercise, right? So I
Yeah.
wanted to get out of working for somebody else, and I wanted to start my own business, and I wanted to do that through exercise, through something that meant exercise, right? And so the entrepreneurial passion was finding the thing that that had the opportunity to make me successful through exercise.
Love it. Love it. Excellent. How about you, Michael? Why is it that you've jumped on board with Colin? I mean, I know you guys know each other for 10 years, and you have the hot tub background and your friends and everything. Just go ahead and tell me some whys.
The big why is just helping out Colin.
That's great.
That's the big why, and then the second is just giving me some things to do because I got laid off. So
Yeah. Helping out a friend, which I mean, you're.
And I also
that's
believe in the
great.
product too. I've ridden Colin.
We lost you there.
Yeah.
We lost you there, Michael. At one point, Joe, Michael did have his credit card out ready to buy a Platinum Interceptor.
What happened? At one point, okay. Michael.
Can you hear me?
Now
Oh, we can now. I lost you.
Okay.
I heard you say belief in the product.
Yeah.
And Colin said you believed in the product so much at one point that you actually had your credit card out,
Yeah.
but then something happened.
Yeah. I don't know.
It's okay,
That was
man.
when I was furloughed. So I maybe I should wait.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Mike, is Bob kicking around? Or is he with somebody, or is he in the can?
He's here. He's wrenching.
Oh, no sweat. Hey, Bob, why are you there? I mean, I think part of it is you have a passion for bikes and cycling. That's clear.
Sure, yeah. That's my thing here. I don't, I think why I'm here just because it's fun to be here. That's kind of the short-term thing. But the real thing is it's cycling, man. I want people on bikes. Bob, I'm the namesake of what I want. I'm on the board of the local bike coalition. I'm the treasurer, so I'm actively into trying to get people on.
That's great, man.
That's
you're an advocate and a half. So that's awesome.
Get rid of roads or get rid of cars on roads.
Yeah, good for you.
That's
you're an advocate. I love it. These are powerful whys. I mean, what's really great about everything you want to be an entrepreneur, but nobody said, hey, I want to make $1 million. We know that owning one Pedego store, like a single store, will not make you $1 million. However, I mean, there are people that are now getting to a point where they're at 4 or 5 locations, and that gets interesting. You can have a very powerful lifestyle when you've built it to a point where you're working on it and not always in it. What I find with those people that are at that 4 to 5 location space is it always comes back to things like what you've said here. Like they're having fun, right? They built a great team of people. And in some cases, they just started out just as helping out friends. They have a passion for bikes. They love the idea of exercise. It can truly be a rewarding business. And that's what's great. I mean, and belief in the product is actually the next piece. And so I love it that you brought that up, Michael, because I'm just going to share with you guys a story because your why is a very powerful statement in terms of your mindset. But if you don't believe in what you're selling, you're about to shit the bed. So, and I'm going to share with you guys a quick story about the power of belief. And I'm just going to remind you through the word power. I was on the East Coast working with a Pedego store 2 years ago. I'd walked in and we had an appointment set for 1 o'clock and I was supposed to be there till 6. They weren't ready for me. They actually forgot that I was even showing up, which blows my mind because I, traveled, emailed, let them know I was coming, phone call the week before. Okay, I'll see you next week, 1 o'clock. Sounds good. I arrived on a Wednesday. It's 1 o'clock. East Coast. That's all I'm going to say because I don't want to throw anybody under the bus. As I waited for the appointment to the manager to show up at then 2 o'clock, then anyways, doesn't matter. What really matters is this. That manager, the phone rang. When the phone rang, the manager went, "Oh," and they answered the phone. Fearful of answering the phone. It was bizarre.
Sounds familiar.
And well, right? Because the power of your tone of voice, this is different. I know it is. And then they got off the phone because it was a solicitation call. So it was somebody trying to sell them something. And I said, "Hey, what's going on? I could tell that you didn't want to answer the call. What's happening here?" And they said, "Well, I just don't want to have another angry customer on my hands."
Whoa.
And I'm like, what do you mean angry customer? What's happening? Well, every bike, and this is what this person said, every bike that's coming out of the box is defective. Every one. I'm like, okay. I said, "Do you have service people here?" They said, "Yeah." I said, are the service people able to diagnose it and fix the problem in a timely manner?" "Oh, yeah." I'm like, okay. Does Pedego, your supplier, provide you with tech support and parts in a timely manner? "Oh, they're the best." Okay. When was the last time you sold a bike? 3 months ago. Not 3 weeks. 3 months. Like a quarter of the year had passed purely based on their belief that what was going on in I've said her, so now you're going to be able to dilute how many hers there are on the East Coast and figure it out, Colin. So what she gave away was her mindset. Even though Pedego was giving great service, she had a team of people that were able to diagnose and fix the problems. Her own mindset was stopping her from selling the bikes because her belief was everything is not working. We're having a quality control issue. I'm just going to back the truck up here. And again, guys, I do not work for Pedego. I'm not a Pedego employee. I'm a preferred vendor who Pedego supports through a training subsidy by giving Colin free product if I get hired to do what we're going to be doing over the next few days or weeks, right? The powerful thing that comes here in terms of belief was, listen, you've got good people. Pedego, in comparison to other brands, again, I'm not paid by them. I had worked for Rocky Mountain Bicycle division. It was Bodyguard Fitness, but they had Rocky Mountain Bicycle, Peugeot, Oryx, and then, so I've seen the manufacturing facility and how they do quality control. I worked for a division of Trek. I worked for BH. And then, looking at Pedego, Pedego is the only brand who is as meticulous as they are about quality control. It's crazy what they do. Now, Colin, are they now, 2 years later in comparison when this story happened, are they now shipping bikes in the box, like not pre-assembled and ridden? Is that what's happening now?
Correct.
And the reason for that is quality control at manufacturing facility has been very good, if not excellent.
I would say that quality control at the manufacturing facility has been good.
Okay.
We run into a few things here and there where, the bottom bracket wasn't tightened down or, whatever, but it's not a big picture.
Right.
It's interesting to see, because I didn't know, only my first order, putting 40 bikes together versus the bikes that are coming in now, some of the small unique differences.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
largely why I'm here, really, because I kind of got this passion for. I could see that Colin was sort of getting a lot of bikes out the door that weren't necessarily ready to go, and he needs somebody in here to thoroughly go to them when they came out of the box. And that's
This
what I do. Every
this
single
is
bike,
great.
every single nut and bolt and axle, the whole thing. So when they go out the door, they're right.
I think it's you're an extremely valuable resource. And Bob, just as an aside, I mean, when I started in the bike industry 10 years ago, again, coming from the public speaking sales trainer, prior to that being a fitness industry guy, I just jumped right into UBI. I flew to Portland and I spent a week there. And I'm not suggesting that I'm the be all end all bike tech, because I am not. But I spent a week at United Bicycle Institute to learn the intricacies of at least basic bike maintenance. And then I could know the speak that a seasoned veteran like yourself, and I could at least have a conversation with you, as well as understanding of what a bottom bracket is, or understanding, like what a headset would be, and things of that nature. And I'm not suggesting that, I could repair bikes as quickly as any tech that I've ever visited. I have a profound level of respect for the techs. And that's something that a lot of reps never had. I mean, part of your follow-up and the branding happens because of guys like you.
Yeah.
Like the branding you're the brand within the Pedego Santa Rosa brand. And people will relate to you.
Then we don't have answers, questions to answer. We don't have issues to deal with. We have unhappy people that are crap falling off their bike. I had that experience with a couple of the bikes that I borrowed here when I first started working here. I hear tinkling, down the road, and I stop and pick up a bolt or something. It's like, whoa, somebody's got to get on these things, And so that's what I started when I started really seriously working. I'm like, I'm touching every freaking thing on this bike. So
love it. Love it. So this is one of the challenges that some of the Pedego store owners have had in the past. They've said, oh, it's really hard to get a technician. I think there's a lot more people that want to be able to just wrench on bikes and just enjoy it. And you're clearly an extroverted person, or certainly more extroverted than the typical wrench that I've met. A lot of the guys that are wrenching on bikes, they'll do this. They'll put the headsets in, and they don't want to talk to people, which is totally okay as well. I think what's important in the world of Pedego, because of the community that Pedego has built and done such a great job at doing, is having somebody who's at least willing to have conversations with prospects and customers, because that interaction is so great. And that's what helps set the Pedego brand apart. It's not what versus what, it's the why.
Right.
People don't buy what you're selling, they're buying why you sell it. And you guys have powerful whys. So let's talk about the people, guys, in the next 20 minutes before I let you go to get on my other training call. Can you tell me about the Pedego Santa Rosa customer? Like, who's your customer there, Colin, Bob, and Michael?
So my customer is going to be probably 50 plus, age-wise, disposable income, obviously, looking for exercise, doesn't feel comfortable riding a regular bicycle anymore, and they're e-bike curious.
All right, so they're e-curious. I didn't write down the age range, but you've said 50 plus. Michael, would you agree with that? Do you have any more statistics on who the typical customer is that's walking into the store? We're just going to create a customer avatar here, so I better.
I'm there just 2 days a week, so I don't have.
That's fine.
I'm not seeing a lot of people, but I think Colin pretty much nailed it. Disposable income, between 45 and probably.
And to be fair, Joe. Oh, sorry, Michael. Go ahead.
No, that's fine.
We're just having a discussion. It's all good.
Yep. To be fair, I'm getting a younger demo in renters.
That's great. Okay, so I'm going to divide this. I'm going to just put the renter over here.
The sale customer is pretty much 50 plus.
Okay, so I'm going to put the buyer over here. This is important. So you're telling me the buyer is sitting in at around 55 years old?
Yep.
I do have a few younger customers, but for the most
On
part,
average. Let's call it the 80-20 rule. 80% of my people that are walking in the door are this. They're
Yep.
54 years old. Are they married? Or are they couples?
yes.
Okay, that's important to know. Because you might have somebody who's saying, yeah, I'm buying it for my significant other because they can't keep up with me anymore.
Yep.
Right? And then what ends up happening is they buy it for their significant other, and then a week later they come back and they buy one themselves because now they can't keep up with their significant other.
Yeah. Yep.
It happens
totally.
a lot. So, and again, it's about framing our sale to understand that. When you say disposable income, what's the total household income for your average customer? What do you guys think? Like total household income for two people in Pedego, Santa Rosa is?
I'm pretty lucky here because I believe that we're in a more of an affluent area. I'm gonna say 120 plus, and it's probably more than that.
So let's say 150.
Okay.
I just recently had somebody say that their average customer area, they're saying that the average customer walking in the door is 200,000. So they can afford it.
Yep.
But I love the word affluent because they are.
Yep. You don't live here. You don't live here in Sonoma County if you don't have at least some level of affluence.
On a scale of 1 to 10, where's their health? 1 being that they're hitting the grave, 10 that they're gold medalists.
They're all over.
That varies quite a bit.
Sure.
I'm gonna say it's somewhere between 4 and 6.
Let's call it a 4. Is that fair?
Yeah.
On average?
From a scale 1 to 10?
Yeah.
Wow.
What do you think, Bob? You could disagree. I'm just curious.
No, I mean, he sees a lot more than I do, of course. So
We gonna go 5? It's fine. Let's call it a 5.
Yeah, I would say 5 is probably a little bit better.
Okay.
On average.
So we're gonna say that they have health issues. And it's one of the questions.
For overweight.
Yeah, most of them are overweight. I'm going to say looking to improve their health condition.
Love it. So we're going to say overweight.
Who isn't, besides you?
Thanks. Trust me, I sacrificed to be here.
He was checking out your butt when you leaned over, Joe.
Yeah, well, don't worry. The catheter's working. So, so here's our buyer right now. This is a great avatar. We've got somebody they're 55-year-old couples. They have disposable income. They're affluent. They have their average $150,000 a year. They're curious. They've got health issues. They're overweight. This is great. This is like this.
They're curious, but they haven't had the operation.
Right. I could have put a B here, but it's E, not B. All right.
Yeah.
Tell me about the renter. Tell me about your rent. And by the way, what's your percentage of business for buyers versus renting? Like, what does renting represent as far as if you were to look at
right now, renting is relatively small. I'm going to say it's about 20%.
That's awesome.
Still, and may even be closer to 15, but we'll stick with 20 for now.
And then you've got service that's a portion of your business, rental, and then sale. And there's tours, which a lot of stores still haven't initiated yet.
Yeah, and I'm still working on those right now.
And I'll give an example of a non-urgent task. So it's something that you don't have to do just yet, but it's a great money-making example. And this, by the way, this customer is probably the same customer that would come into rent to come and do what I'm going to suggest to you. And again, it's just information. And it's the food tour.
The what?
Food tour.
Oh,
The food tour business on an e-bike is kick-ass.
Yep.
Shauna and I we love. I mean, I love to cook. I love to eat. I mean, one of the reasons I work out as much as I do is so I can eat. In fact, as I speak to you now, it's Shauna's birthday today.
You said that.
And I've had in the sous vide bucket for 24 hours I've had the ribs working their magic so that tonight I'm gonna blowtorch them sous vide style. So I'm gonna reverse sear them and then create bark on them on the barbecue before the kids show up tonight at 7. So it just gives you an idea. Like, we love to eat. All this to be said, the food tour, oh my God. I mean, we've been to different cities where we paid a guide, like per person, $149. So between the two of us, right, $298 to give somebody we'll take a guided tour to go to different locations that they've obviously cross-pollinated with.
Yep.
To help generate revenue, and like they're making good money. And then what happens at the end of these tours, like we did this in Greece, we did this twice in Austin, Texas. We did the ones in Austin, Texas on Pedegos, by the way.
Wow, cool.
So what's great is you hop on and all, again, it's work to create it, but then all you do is you put it up on the website, and that becomes a way to generate income, and it becomes a way to cross-pollinate with other businesses in your community. And Colin, if you don't want to have to pay to ever eat out again, like ever, you start doing this, because what happens is, let's say you have 8 people on a tour that are paying X amount of dollars, and I'll give you the Cliff Notes version. You guys call them Cliff Notes in the US, they're Coles Notes in Canada. Just a little difference between our countries, eh? So, there it is. The A came out. That was a joke. Anyways, so
Hey, keep your Canadian jokes.
A, you know what, A?
Hey, hoser.
Hey, here's the thing. Our beer actually tastes like beer.
No one knows what that is here.
Joe,
You're-
I've got a little known secret for you. Beer is
Microbreweries.
water. Beer is water. It doesn't matter what it frickin' tastes like.
I like it. Because wine matters. You're right.
He doesn't drink water. He just drinks beer.
Fair. Fair.
True.
All right.
Eh?
Do you know it, A?
Go
So,
ahead. Sorry.
all right. So I'm just going to give you some, and if on another call you want to discuss how to hammer out a good food tour, I'll help you, because I want you to really make a difference in people's lives. Getting them on the foodies out. What's great is at the end of a food tour, it's no different than a rental. Your tour guide is asking people, so what do you think of the bikes? Aren't they great? And you just keep riding, and you're stopping in at different spots. Generally, a food tour is about 2.5 to 3 hours. You make 5 or 6 stops. You're going to get tapas-sized samplers, so just enough food to keep you going, but you're not going to get full.
Right.
And it's preset menu. And you can have the vegetarian option or the popular menu item option at the restaurant of choice. You call a restaurant a day in advance, saying, I've got whatever X amount of people coming. You're going to pay their portion to the restaurant. The restaurant gets people to come in and test out food, but you're cross-pollinating. The people that I took Sean and I took 2 different tours with, they were going back to these restaurants, and the restaurants would just comp them meals all the time.
Yeah.
Because people were going back. And I'll give you an example. We ended up going to a pizza place called Death Metal Pizza. I'd have never gone there. But because I had had the experience of going into Death Metal Pizza, and I'm not a fan of death metal. I mean, if you are, great. But the fact is, the pizza was awesome. The experience was amazing. We ended up going back to a barbecue place. We ended up going back to a place that served a Bloody Mary. It was basically a meal. And we didn't have that on the menu. We actually had this potato thing, and then we went back because we wanted to eat that and drink that Bloody Mary. We call them Caesars in Canada, eh? So all that to be said, the food tour, you can create multiple tours, invite your customers to come in on the tour and give them a discount because they're not renting bikes. And you're still creating a bike riding community. It's just a different type of cycling community. They're not necessarily wearing Lycra. They're not necessarily going out and doing cyclocross races, but they're still riding together, which is freaking awesome. So tell me about your renter.
Renter's going to be a much wider array. I've had folks in here as young as 30, renters as old as 65.
So can we say on average 30 to 50? Though,
Sure.
the majority?
Sure, that's fine.
Okay.
They're usually couples.
Okay.
How
How many, do you get groups at all?
Yeah, I've had a couple of groups.
Okay. But mostly couples?
Mostly couples.
Yeah.
Not nearly as affluent, but
Okay.
curious about an adventure, curious about doing something fun. Not necessarily electric bike curious as my buyer
Yeah.
is.
Okay.
And I'm going to say their level of income, total household, is probably closer to about $100,000.
Okay. All right. So they can still afford it if they have enough fun and they have the desire.
Yeah, exactly. If their desire is there, and then they're going to be probably a little bit healthier for the most part. They're probably going to be a 6 on that scale, just a little
Okay.
bit more healthy on average.
Great. What I'm going to send you is a 6. That's great. What I'm going to send you after this call is I'm also going to send you so I'm going to send you the DM tracker today, and I'm going to send you the renter to buyer transition script. So I've written a script out for you that's going to help you get these people to flip over to become a buyer.
Okay.
And again, all of my scripts that you're going to receive, you can completely edit them the way that you want. But what I love about, like, see, most Pedego stores, they have the passion for the product. They know the product. But what they end up doing is they end up telling versus selling. And you and I both know questions are what ask sales, right?
Yep.
So somebody comes back from a rental and you go, hey, what did you think of the bike? And they say, oh, it was great. And then the telling begins. Well, if you want, we can apply the cost of the rental towards the purchase of the bike. And if you live out of state, then you don't have to pay state tax and we'll ship it to you for free. What do you think? And the customer's going to be like, yeah, I'll think about it. And they leave. What I'm going to send you, and I'm just going to, yeah, I've got this ready here. Let me just pop this up. So I'll send you this over, and then we'll finish off the call here in a couple minutes. So if you take a look at this, you can see this on my screen. I've got a little bit of a flow chart, and it's, again, I call it the rental to sale or rental to buyer transition strip. So somebody comes back with a rental from you, and they might have gone to check out a winery or two, and it's like, hey, how was your day? Oh, and they say it was great. Hey, did you enjoy the bike? Yeah. Any issues with it at all? Oh, no. And then you say, of course not. They're very reliable. Hey, just curious. Can you imagine riding one of these back home? Wouldn't that be awesome? It's a yes or no question. If they say no, you just end the transaction. I'm not out to try to, force the horse to drink water if they're not thirsty.
Yep.
But if they say yes, then you make the irresistible offer. And then you continue to ask questions. So tell me where you visited today. And they tell you, and then you can shoot the shit with them a little bit about that. And it's like, so imagine if I could apply the rental cost of purchasing your bike. Would that interest you? And I'm reeling them in. They told me they'd like the idea of it, so that'd be great. Now, imagine if I had to ship this bike to you. You typically would cost $200. But if I could take the $200 shipping cost and the rental fee off of this, would you like to take it? And I'm asking. And then if I'm not going to, then I'm going to ask, what state are you from? So if somebody's coming in from Minnesota, and they say, well, I'm from Minnesota, and I don't know what the state tax is, but you could look it up real quick. So what state are you from? I'm from Minnesota. So what's the state tax there? They're going to tell you. So because some people are going to tell you, Colin, oh, I'm going to be able to buy it. I'll just buy it from my local dealer. And then it's like, well, the loophole right now, Mr. and Mrs. Customers, I can ship it for free, take the rental fee off, and if you buy it from me and I ship it, you don't pay any state tax. Are you telling me that you're willing to actually spend an additional $500? I'll set you up with the local retailer. Don't you worry about that. I'm just looking to help you.
Yep.
So that ends up creating this irresistible offer because I don't know anybody who's willingly, I mean, listen, we pay a shit ton of tax up in Canada. Nobody likes to pay tax. Nobody. So if I can show you a way to be able to purchase this without paying state tax, saving your rental fee, and not having to pay shipping costs, would that interest you? As opposed to me telling you the script helps you get there faster, and it drives the curiosity factor. That makes sense?
Yep. My question is, how are you getting it so they're not paying state tax?
If you ship it outside of California, they don't pay tax. It's the current loophole that exists for you as a retailer anywhere. If you ship it out of California, they don't pay tax, the state tax.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's one of the challenges that the federal government is having with Amazon.
Got it.
Like I don't pay any provincial tax on anything that I order from Amazon. I only pay the federal.
They changed
So-
that to states. Now we do pay state tax to Amazon.
On Amazon. But that originally started because of the state of Washington.
Right. But you're right.
But that's
about
what
the thing about we don't have to charge state sales tax if we ship it out of state.
correct.
Okay.
So it becomes for you, Colin, a way to go, okay, like, and again, you can just change the script. If it's somebody who's within the state of California, you just don't mention the state tax piece. But what we've done in lead cycles is if they're from out of state, lead cycles knows it. So part of the follow-up is reminding them that they can save a ton of money buying it from you as opposed to buying it from their local dealer. Because this is the problem that some Pedego dealers have with this approach. I'm not suggesting that you're trying to steal a deal from another Pedego dealer, because that's not what you're doing when you're transitioning.
I'm not worried about that. Go ahead.
Yeah. Somebody who's come in to rent a bike from you, you're showing them through discovery what a Pedego is. You've paid the money to attract them into your business, right? It's the 3: attraction, consideration, decision. Well, you've spent time with them. So you've attracted them to come in to rent. You've gotten them to consider to buy it, and then you've helped them decide to buy it. You've earned the sale. Now, if you choose to call up the local retailer in their region and say, you know, hey, Joe, over at Joe's Pedego Bikes in Winnipeg, whatever, somebody came into Santa Rosa. They came into my shop. I spent time with them, and I sold them some bikes. I'm shipping them to you. And by the way, if ever somebody comes in from Canada, you can do the same thing. I'll connect you with Mike Clyde. Because I've got U.S. stores that ship bikes to Canadian locations. They just ship them from the Canadian distributor, and you still make the profit. Like, the idea that a customer is going to say, oh, no, I'm going to go to my local retailer, they're going to forget that they were even riding a Pedego.
Yeah.
They'll just go into a bike shop, and then they might end up buying a Trek, Specialized, Giant, or Cannondale. Well, you know what? I believe you have every right to close the sale.
Yeah, you don't know. We're not arguing that one. I got you.
Good, man. So listen, I'm going to let you go. We've reached our 2-hour limit. I got another call to get on. So I'll see you guys on Friday, same bat time, or we're at 12:30 my time. Is that correct?
12:30 your time, 10:30 ours.
Done.
Thanks,
You'll get a recording of this later. Good to meet you, Bob and Michael.
Thanks,
Thank you,
sir.
Joe.
Okay, later, guys.
Bye.
Thanks.